The father of a drug overdose victim has some words of caution tonight for other parents.
At the same time, local prosecutors say they're alarmed at the recent surge in cases involving young teens and drugs, especially heroin. Natasha Robin has a story.
My life will never be the same. Never, ever. I know that.
For John Shahari, the loss of his son Pierce is almost too much to bear. The 19-year-old LSU honor student overdosed and died on heroin.
I had no idea he was doing what he was doing, like he was doing it. And this is all found out after the fact.
Back in '08, Pierce and some friends rented a room for the night at a Canal Street hotel. Inside of the room, Shahari says his son and others began doing heroin, drinking alcohol, and taking pills.
At some point in time, Pierce fell. He went down. He was down in the bathroom. And from there, it's 14 different stories. We know from the police report that there were several other people in there, kids, college kids, high school kids that were in that room, and that they didn't, from what we know, they didn't stand up and do the right thing, which would have been to help him.
By the time the police were called, Pierce had died.
When you drink alcohol and you get drunk, then you turn around and do the heroin, you drown in your own fluids. That's what the reaction is.
Heroin has made a comeback with a vengeance in the last few years.
U.S. Attorney Jim Letton says heroin has become the drug of choice for young people. The highly addictive and extremely potent drug is now showing up in places no one could have predicted.
We're seeing these in our schools now, available to younger kids. We've seen deaths from heroin. We've seen college kids recreationally using heroin. It's a terrible problem.
The same month Pierce overdosed, Madeline Prevost, a 16-year-old Lusher High School student, died from heroin. A few weeks later, 21-year-old Zach Moser was found dead on a bathroom floor at a friend's house after injecting the dangerous drug.
You think heroin and you think some bum called up in a corner with a needle hanging out of his arm. You don't think you don't think your kid who's an honor student at LSU is involved with that kind of stuff, and it's terrible.
Letton says the federal court system is getting tough on those responsible for supplying the heroin. In Pierce's case, Gary Toka, who was in the room with Pierce that night, was recently sentenced to serve 10 years in a federal prison.
2 other men who he got that heroin from went to prison for 12 and 15 years respectively. It's scary stuff. It destroys lives, and we have to be able to enforce the federal laws.
They knew what they were doing. They knew what they provided, and it killed people.
He has a message for other parents.
Act on it. Act on it. Don't sit back. Don't sit back and think, well, it's maybe a phase, or maybe it's this, or maybe they're not. Grab a hold of them and talk to them. Talk to him, tell him what you feel, tell him what you think, and call him in on it.
Shahari says he'll never forgive those involved in Pierce's death.
Heroin really made a comeback in New Orleans after Katrina, but agents say this heroin is different. They say it's very pure, meaning it's not cut. That makes the drug even more dangerous in very low doses. And Letton says, parents just need to be aware that the drug is out there, it is available, and they need to talk to their children.
A wake-up call, because these kids, we were just saying, they're honor students.
Honor students, good kids in school, and they make a bad decision, and all it takes is one time, and it can cause death.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. All right, thanks, Natasha.